to leading groups.
Yes, but
You've
this
got
time I
plenty of
really forgot.
practice
I was
in leading groups.
But I'm so comfortable when Anna is here that I relaxed, and I relaxed too much this time, right, guys? So people, we are just beginning a little bit late this recording, so this recording is a little bit shorter. But okay, let's move on, right? We're doing a question of the Spirit's book, question number 780, right? And is it a consequence of, okay. All right, then look at this. I'm taking advantage or corroborating on what you have been speaking about. Allan Kardec says something that's so true, in my opinion. He said that for the older spirit, reincarnation brings a lot of side effects. Yes. And this hardening of the heart is one of the side effects it brings. I'm going to look at you face to face because it's so important. I'm writing a book about this, right? Because of our race. What do we do when I think Jesus Christ is a great example. Jesus Christ, who the Hyacinth may know this, who Jesus Christ didn't criticize, didn't, he was not critique towards the people around him, except the Pharisees, for example. The religious people, right, of his time. Why? And he said, because you are so beautiful on the external, but so full of impurities, dirt inside.
Rottenness.
Yes. And you don't notice this. So we can be religious people, good people, for hundreds of years without noticing that our spiritual state is deplorable. And this is something we usually deal with in the spiritualist meetings, because this kind of spirit are those spirits who get very rebellious when they discarnate, when they pass away, because they are waiting for heaven, they are waiting for something very beautiful, very good, and then they are not there, and they sometimes become dark angels because of this. Oh, yes. So I dedicated my life to Jesus. I dedicated my life to being a clerical person, and now I'm here in that situation. I don't believe in anything else. I'm going to do my own kingdom, right? Many spirits, yes, are like this. Yes.
Yes, Jesus talked about this when they passed, and he said, "Depart from me, I never knew you, but I preached in your name. I did all this in your name."
Yes.
He said, "Depart from me, I never knew you." You weren't doing it for me, you were doing it for yourself.
Yourselves, yes, that's it. So it's so important, this criterion. I think we should talk a little bit about this criterion, because I think Allan Kardec is, for me, the criterion. The guy got the criterion for us to approach the spirits, because this is so important. We need to know, to have the distinction. Remember, I think, I'd like your help again. What are the real, the true, the factual words the evangelist John said about recognizing the spirit communication? He said, don't believe in every spirit. Remember that? Check first if the spirits are from God, is it? Don't believe in every spirit.
You should always check.
Yes, you should always check. But for us to know if the spirits are from God, we need to know what this ethical approach of God is. What is the way? Otherwise, you won't have this kind of feeling, criterion.
Do you know, this is again what this young man was talking about this today. It was just unbelievable. And he was remembering from his past lives and to this one. So this was absolutely unbelievable.
Great. Who you were talking about, I think?
Christian Sundberg.
Christian Sundberg. Then could you please spell his name in the chat box for us, because I'm going to check later. But back to this stuff we were talking about, people. We're talking about something very important. which is the hardening of our hearts, right? Allan Kardec said, for the young spirits, reincarnation is paradise, because it's as if you are, for the first time buying in the supermarket, your cart is empty and just put things on. But for the old spirit, what happens? We go to the spirit side, and sometimes there we start having our memories. If you are prepared in the spiritual realms, you start having memories. And oh my gosh, oh my God, what? Oh my goodness. French Revolution, me, journalist, scandal. No, I don't believe I took part in that thing. I don't believe. So these things come to you, and then it comes to the situation that say, oh, I need to reincarnate. I need to, to rescue my soul from these mistakes from the past. Okay, but you reincarnate. But when we reincarnate, we forget. And that's a side effect, because you may be distracted by physical things again. You will receive callings. You will receive callings throughout your life. But most of the times we just, oh, but it's not for me now. I need to do so many things. I need my profession. I have to study university, marriage, this and that and that and that. And suddenly, we are back there again. So, oh my God, I didn't reincarnate just because of that. I reincarnated basically because of this mistake, because of that mistake. So there are side effects for the older spirit in reincarnating. That's why the faster we go on, right, in terms of spiritualizing ourselves, which is not easy, but it's the faster we go on, the better for our spirits, right? Faster we go on, the better. Otherwise, we can get stuck, and getting stuck on this planet will require you, many times you say, okay, it's so much suffering, I need to harden my heart. And this is the way to become a dark angel, right? That person who is very intelligent, that person is full of even the spiritual power. You can heal people, you can move objects with but you can be a dark angel. That's why even Jesus Christ said the false prophets would make great signs, great miracles, right? But we need to understand the criterion to distinguish, to tell who is the dark angel, who is the nice angel. So, and that's what we are studying here. Kardec is the criterion for us. The guy got the criteria. And then I found out, yes, he was a missionary. He came to say, because humanity was going to receive lots of mediumship all over the world. And we would need a guy like that to say, look, people, we need a very strong criterion. For example, one of the criterion that we use in Spiritism is the criterion of getting to know what's being revealed all over the world. Like, for example, in the cross correspondences in English, right? But this is important when it comes to validating the idea that life goes on after the death of the physical body. But in terms of moral teaching, which is very important in the spiritual realms, that's a little bit weak. I'll tell you why. For example, I may have 20 mediums that state a truth, and one medium that state another truth, and that one medium is the right one. And the other 19 or 20, you're not correct. And we need the criterion to know when that happens. I tell you an example. Hundreds of mediums in the 1900s said that reincarnation didn't exist. A few ones said, no, yes, it exists. And not only on this planet, right? Not only on another planet. You reincarnated several times in this planet. Oh, come on. But what we come to the conclusion now, yes, reincarnation really exists. So this was something that Kardec was very worried about. So look, why? Why can I have so much mistake from several mediums and the truth from one or two or three? Right? This is something that is worrying, because many times you can just be going, following ideas that are not exactly. So if we are honest to ourselves, that's why in the Spiritism, mediums must be very, very humble. In the mediumistic circle, a Spiritist circle, mediums don't rule. They are there to, to channel and look, Sergio, it's your turn. It's up to you now. It's up to you, studious people. It's up to you, because I'm the medium here, just channeling. I'm just a conduct, right, for the message. And all the guys, and we together, we, the mediums, everybody, humbly, we will analyze the message and say, what is the truth about this? Because that's why the Spiritism was brought by the spirit of truth, right? He said, the spirit, Allan Kardec's guide was the spirit of truth. I said, okay, we want the truth, because there are so many ways for you to get, deluded in this pathway, that without a good criterion like this, we can make lots of mistakes. Do you agree, guys? Do you understand what I mean? Right? Because this is my founding, right? I found this, and I like to share with this people, because I've seen so many mistakes in the Spiritist circles and the spiritualist circles because of the lack of this criterion. So many mistakes, so many deception, so much deception, and so much disappointment, that if you follow those rules, okay, no, there's no disappointment. There's no, because we know in advance what we're dealing with, right? And one of the criterions of this truth is the ethical approach. Because, for example, if you research the afterlife with a kind of academic approach, you may make the mistake of not using the ethical approach. At the same time, if you are just a medium, you don't care about academic approach, but you're just a medium or just a researcher, but you don't care about the ethical approach, one more time you can make mistakes and receive wrong messages that can take you into the wrong pathway in terms of truth. But if you use the higher points of ethics, that's why in Spiritism we use the higher ethical of Christianity, of Christic ethics. It's very high, right? Donate yourself to humanity, no personal interest, not all things get better. Because I'm gonna show you something. There's a book called Liberation. This book by Chico Xavier. We use Chico Xavier very much because, of course, it's something, his mediumship was something that really was outside. Not that there were thousands of mediums in Brazil, but Chico Xavier really, he was overboard, And this book is called Liberation. I've already talked to you about this book. This book is a report about how the dark side of spiritual life works on this planet. And I put aside here an excerpt about this book from Kindle. I'm going to read. Are you ready for me to read a little bit on your ears? Or are you going to get to sleep?
Well, Luis, the last book you recommended is only in Portuguese, and that doesn't help us very much. And
yes, I remember that.
And being a cheapskate Brit, I'm not about to pay for things.
This one is in English. This is Liberation is in English, yes. I'm going to read it. That's
can you send it to us, or to those who put their email address in the...
yes, the Amazon address, yes.
Well, okay, Amazon there. I'm not going to spend money on it.
Okay. No, I don't have this book because it's Kindle. Can I send Kindle to you? I don't think so.
Yes, of course.
Then you give me the instruction how to do that. Of course I do.
Caliber, just send the book to the address. Of anybody who would like it, you can just send the book, attach the file to the email you're sending, just as I did to you.
The Kindle file. What, Gloria? Come on.
It's an electronic book,
Yeah,
Giles.
Of
A Kindle.
course. Of
No, yeah, but
course.
you can't send links to a Kindle.
Yeah,
No,
Kindle.
you
It's
don't. You send the actual book in a file.
really. I will try it. I don't know how to do this, but I'll try to find it.
Well, okay, but not during the show. I don't want to
Yes,
interrupt.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's see. Let's take a look at this book. I'm gonna tell you the story. It's a woman. She's in Rio, I think in Rio de Janeiro. Physical woman, she's an incarnate woman, and she's suffering an obsession from several spirits. Actually, she is a judge's daughter, and this judge, right, made a mistake in one of his decisions, and because of this, he kind of bought, right, a very strong group of spirits working against him. So Andre Luis arrives into a very beautiful apartment building, very rich people. And at the same time, he said that the apartment is full of very low-key creatures, spiritual creatures, with the intent of killing, right, the girl who's being obsessed. She's having very serious psychological problems. She's having very serious spiritual problems. And Andre Luis and his spirit guide, they pretend they are in the pack, you know, they are like those bad peers, right? So they make believe that they are bad guys too, to understand and to make them go back in their decisions of killing the girl because of some very important reasons, spiritual reasons there. That woman, and then her husband was, you know, a person who didn't have any spiritual knowledge. She didn't, according to the spiritual description. And they will take her to a psychiatrist. And when they said, oh, we are going to take her, her husband said, I'm going to take her to the psychiatrist. The spirits, Andre Luis and his guide is called Gubbio. I don't know how to say that in English, Gubbio. Gubbio said, oh gosh, not that guy. That psychiatrist. I'd rather he decided to go to take her wife to another psychiatrist, not this one. So let's see how the story goes on, right? I think it's here. I know it's in Kindle, yeah, Kindle here. In Kindle Cloud, right? An invaluable experience. Heeding of the doctor's suggestion, the next morning, Gabriel got ready to take his wife to be examined by a famous professor of psychic sciences in hopes of securing his beneficent help. I could see that people's freedom regarding such consultations was almost unlimited because Gubbio, the spirit guide, right, Gubbio was not at all pleased about it and discreetly told me that he was going to do everything he could to prevent it, to stop that incarnate man, to take his wife to that psychic. That, in his opinion, it would only be profitable and worthwhile if they went to a different authority on the subject, on the matter. In our cautious guide's opinion, in Gubbio's opinion, the professor was indeed, this was a psychic professor, an admirable exponent of phenomena, a bearer of remarkable mediumistic gifts, but because his mind was too attached to the common interests of the earthly experience, he could not truly help those who came to him. What a paragraph, guys. Pay attention, what a paragraph, right? And then the instructor says, psychic work, the instructor said in nearly imperceptible voice, because they were among the bad guys. They were pretending to be bad guys too. Is an activity, yes, psychic work is an activity that is as common as any other. The main thing is to develop a sanctifying work. Consulting intermediaries, that is, holders of outstanding faculties in the informative sector, or acknowledged competence when dealing with the two worlds, is like contracting holders of great wealth. If holders of such great assets are not interested in using them for the happiness of others, such knowledge of or money will only increase their debt of selfishness, useless distraction, or the regrettable waste of time. In spite of this opportune remark, we saw that the obsessed woman's husband was not open to our changing his mind. All our subtle efforts to get him to take a different course failed. Gabriel did not know how to reflect. Okay, so there's from this part here. Now, he says, low order spirits were coming and going, paying little attention to us. They arrived in the office of the psychiatrist, right? The professor was in his office treating a mental patient whom we could hear uttering disconnected sentences in a loud voice. I could see that all those present were accompanied by a large number of discarnates. To be more precise, the whole place was like a large hive of workers without physical body, low-order spirit workers. So, of course, I'm not going to read everything to you. And people who goes on, they go on and on and on. And at the end, what happened? Let's see the last part I'm going to read for you. Observing the scene that was developing, I commented. The point is, André Luiz, they discovered that the people that were trying to kill the girl, they came to a deal with the spirit guides of the psychiatrist. And the spirit guides of the psychiatrists, right? They made a deal and they made an agreement, right? To say to the medium, the psychiatrist, that the case, that woman's case was just a medical case, was just physical. Her problem was medical. Not at all related to any kind of spirituality thing or whatever. See how tricky this pathway, these things can be if we don't have the ethical approach as a rule. Not that everybody that charges is people, it's not this, that's not the point. But the point is, what is the ethics of the person who you are consulting? What is he or she in their private lives? What is their direction? Right? Because the spirits automatically connect to us according to our real intentions, not only external intentions, like the Pharisees Jesus Christ criticized. So Jesus Christ said, well, in front of the public, you are saint people, holy people. But I know that your heart are full of dirt, right? So the same thing happens all the time. We never know. So back to the text just to wrap it up. André Luiz says, but we have to admit that this seeing medium, right, the clairvoyant medium, is a powerful instrument. He is in full contact with the spirits that assist him, and who in turn find him to be a solid support. And the spirit said, you're right about that, confirmed our spirit, our guide serenely. But there's no indication that he is morally evolved. The professor of relations with our sphere, a sphere that is unapproachable to the ordinary person for now, is attuned to the vibrational emissions of the low-order spirits around him, and he can hear their opinions and register their suggestions. But that's not enough. Those who disengage themselves from their corporeal vehicle don't suddenly initiate themselves into divinity. That's it. Spirits, just because they are spirits, they don't know the truth. If you are ignorant and you discarnate, you pass away, you'll be ignorant on the other side too. It's a great problem, because some people, just because it's a spirit, they say, well, I'm going to follow what he said because, right? No. If you come one day, one guy went to the streets in my town here, asking people some very ridiculous questions, and people would answer those questions, right? For example, Mayor City Hall now decided to charge the air that you breathe, and people who have bigger noses are going to pay more. And I don't believe that. I can't believe that. I hate this mayor because of that. So people just don't even pay attention to what they're saying. They say, and spirits are like this too. If you come to a spirit and say, well, I want the speed of the electron, oh, he will give you, depending on the spirit. Maybe it's just a lie, right? So there are billions of evolving spirits surrounding incarnates in every area of struggle. Many of them, not to say most of them, right, are of a lower order than lower than their incarnate counterparts. And they easily become passive instruments of incarnates' desires and passions. And this, I'm going to look at you again. Once in a spiritist meeting, a spirit said to me, look, do you know somebody, what's her name? Says, I know. Do you know that she usually works with very low consciousnesses? I don't know. Spirits. Okay. Not exactly. What do you mean? Well, she makes use of spirits to do her physical things, her physical favors. And I need you to pray for her. But why? Because from now on, she's got married and she's going to receive all those troublesome spirits as children, as her own children, to put them now in the right pathway. Bad, isn't it?
Oh dear.
Oh dear. And then
that sounds like a swift journey to the outer fringes of hell.
Yes, and she gave, for example, for them, just like what we call macumba or something. She gave alcohol to them. She gave in return of the favors she received, a kind of a witchcraft, you know. And those children, later on, there were very troublesome children involved in drugs and and a lot of problems. And see how life is really intelligent, right? Life is not dumb, and this wisdom. And then I found in the Spiritist book by André Luiz a scene exactly like that in the book, in the domains of mediumship, right? There's exactly what they say, well, underlying the words, saying that, look, this group here that are being committed with this kind of spirits and using these spirits to work for them for lower interests, they are being connected karmically with these spirits. And these spirits will maybe somehow one day be together with them as a family, for example. So it's something that we need to pay attention to, right? People, are you writing here? I'm not looking. What? Sorry, lots of writings here. Okay. Well, Giles, you can say something that you want to say here because you wrote. Would you like to say something?
Well, just reiterate my remark about the most of the automatic writing that I have read. I can't speak from personal experience. Well, maybe I can, who knows? They say we don't know it all. The search continues. And this, to me, is one of the most convincing realities of connection with the afterlife. When they are not, none of them is saying we know it all. And many of them say we have visitors from higher dimensions who come and stay for an hour or so, as much as they can stand in the fog of our lower dimension. And again, they say, those spirits say, we don't know it all. The search continues. And this is, of course, for me, one of the most convincing things about evidential automatic writing.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So,
a little bit off subject, but well, it's all the one subject, isn't it?
yes. Oh, look, well, one thing that was very important to me was this 45 years of mediumistic experience, just to understand that these books that we've been talking about are not to be sneezed at, because so much evidence. So, oh my goodness, this comes to confirm everything I saw. This comes to confirm, for example, the materializations. I have an interview recorded on my channel for Spirit Connections, an interview about Peixotinho, a materialization medium, a physical medium, at the time of Chico Xavier. Chico Xavier was his friend, and one day they made a circle. They made a session, right? They set up a session there where the minister of Nosso Lar materialized, and the devices, the electronic or magnetic devices that were used in Nosso Lar were materialized in the meeting too. Was just a show, you know, was really beautiful, and people were amazed to see those characters of the book. I personally, in the meeting, this was in the town in the state of Rio de Janeiro, and things like that. But let's just finish here the text. The text goes on to say that says here, so a capacity for sublimation and imperative for all is imperative for all those who dedicate themselves to the interchange between the two worlds. For if virtue is transmissible, vices are highly contagious. That was the point, right? Meanwhile, we saw that the medium that had disconnected from his body and was listening to the argumentation of the highly intelligent spirit, whose cooperation Saldanha had won. Saldanha was the persecutor of the woman, the main persecutor of the girl that was being obsessed. And look, we are talking about highly intelligent spirits. That's another problem. A very highly intelligent spirit, if you are, how can I say the word in English? A gullible person, you are in trouble. We need that. Maybe that's why Jesus Christ said, we need to be mild as a pigeon, but as a dove, right? But smart as a serpent, as a snake.
Why is a serpent and innocent as a dove?
That's it. Because we can't be innocent and naive in this field, right? So because we deal with very highly intelligent spirits, but hardened in their hearts, right? Very powerful people. So go back, my friend. The spirit was saying, the spirit, Saldanha, the persecutor, go back, my friend. The spirit was saying vaingloriously to the medium. Yes, the spirit was talking now to the psychic professor, right? And tell our sick sister's husband that her organic case is simple and that all she really needs is a doctor's help. But and then the medium asks, but isn't she a victim of plain old obsession? Asked the medium somewhat hesitantly. And the spirit said, no, that's not at all. Make it clear to him, to her husband, that the problem is medically related. Her nervous system is in tatters. She needs shock therapy in a hospital, that's all. But wouldn't it be best to try to do something to help her? See, the psychic professor was trying to understand, no, in my opinion, she has all the symptoms of a spiritual obsession. To help, as the medium worried, the spirit laughed as if there were no need for concern and replied, now, you should know by now that everyone has their own destiny. If our assistance is to be effective, there is no time for quibbling. Get on with it, and so on and so forth. And the woman was, right, deviated from the right pathway. So we need to have these tools, right? This criteria in our hands to make things happen in another. First, Livia was reading this book the other day with me, and she had a patient, and this patient had a problem, and she was meditating with me about this patient's problem. We were talking about that, right? And suddenly she read something in this part of the book, in this excerpt of the book. She read something that was a woman that was being obsessed somehow, and the symptoms that she was feeling is the symptoms that Livia's patient was feeling. So Livia got it as a sign, as a warning. So, oh, I will cover medically all the procedure, but I'll also talk to the mother to take some providence in terms of the spiritual situation of her daughter, right? So, and it's very, very interesting because the terminology that is used in the book is an old one. So Livia had never heard of that. After Livia looked up the word in the dictionary, she said, oh, this is the symptom my patient is having, and we don't exactly understand why she's having this kind of, so maybe this is something spiritual too. So something, these books, people, are really very rich in all the ways, right? Okay, but now let's go back to the spirit book, because we have to move on, otherwise I'm going to what's this here? No, this is another book, guys, because I opened so many books in front of me here. The book I want now is the spirit book, isn't it? Yeah, spirit's book. Back. I think you're too shut up today, guys. I don't like this, right?
Gloria is being very quiet.
Who?
Gloria.
Yes, Gloria is quiet, and is always been, right? Maybe she's a Taurian or a Capricornian or something. I don't know. Virgo. Are you Earth, Annie? According to astrologers.
I would like to say something about, if you'll go back to the spirits book
Okay.
again, it's
right.
that the moral progression follows, and I'm thinking the intellectual development, and I'm thinking it must be intellectual development of spirit, not intellectual development of earthly things. And that was, I think, where I was getting hung up, because my example of that is Pope Nicholas. Now, you don't get much higher, in religion than a pope. And he was approached by leaders from all over the world and asked about, is slavery moral? And he declared that it was, so that it could continue. And I think he got paid under the table. So he was probably very well versed in the teachings, but morally he did the opposite of the teachings as the leader of the church.
Yes, I think I understand what you're saying, and it's, look, what the Spirit say in this the answer to Allan Kardec is something very tricky. We need to understand. He said, moral comes immediately after intellectual, not immediately after, but not immediately. Because we can, for example, you can be educated fast in this life. You can go to university, you can study. But when you do this, you are just gaining responsibility. And this will trigger your morality in the future. Because the more responsible you are, the stronger will be the consequences of your acts. And the consequences of our acts will teach you moral. Do you understand? So that's what they say. Moral comes after, right? Intellectuality, but not always, right? Immediately. Maybe sometimes before. The Pharisees. What were the Pharisees? They were people that had a very social varnish. They were very well educated. They were very polite. They paid their income taxes, right? They were good fathers, right? They paid their the social obligations very well. And Jesus didn't like them. He said, no, you're not good. You're not good, guys. The prostitutes and the publicans will arrive first in heaven than you. Who? Come on, look at this. And it happens spiritually. It happens spiritually. Sometimes you think because of that thing, the side effect of reincarnation, you can go on and on and on and on, following all the rules except the rules of your heart that you petrified long ago, right? So that's why we need to engage in a very serious move inside of us to be compassionate, to be caring, to be loving, right? And this is not a mushy love story we are talking about. It's something very serious we need to, for us to heal ourselves for sure. It's a hard pathway because we don't, for example, our generations, some generations of spiritists, young spiritists, I told you once, right? They didn't want to feel sentimental feelings, more sentimental, more emotional feelings. They wanted just rationality. So once I put them to watch a movie and they ran away from that, they just don't want to get in touch with their hearts. This is a very dangerous, right? Very dangerous because we need these two wings for us to fly, wisdom and love. And love demands very high levels of sentiment, right? Okay, but back to the book. So Gloria, could you read for us this moral? No, now
Does
it's
moral
this.
progress? Oh, we did that.
Sorry, yes, now it's 7. Oh, how
81?
come? Look at this.
Okay. How comes it then that the most enlightened nations are often the most perverted? Oh, good question.
Good question. You can read. Let's read the
Okay.
answer.
Complete and integral progress is the aim of existence, but nations, like individuals, only reach it step by step. Until the moral sense is developed in them, they may even employ their intelligence in doing evil. And there's a good example. Okay.
Yes.
Moral sense and intellect are two forces which only arrive at equilibrium in the long run.
That's it, in the long run. So that's why we have that delusional feeling that, oh, that guy is not civilized. He's much worse than a civilization thing, right? But he's on the way. Because the more civilized you are, the more responsible you become, and the more karma works on you. And you will be morally attached to the consequences of your acts, you know. So,
Luis, I have to interject there. You say the more advanced you are, the more karma works on you. I guess
the more advanced intellectually, you say, right? Because you are
karma
more responsible.
starts at the end of the animal kingdom, because you know perfectly well when you come home and your dog has been a bad boy in your absence. He knows it and you know it. And so
the consequences, right?
There is, yes, there exactly. So I believe it's my opinion that karma starts at the end of the animal development. And of course, in human terms, it's then rears its head in very direct terms.
But look, yes,
again, Christian says that, you know, karma is cause and effect, and that's what I think it is. It's cause and effect.
Well, yes, Hyacinth, I'm sure religions have got.
Yes, Jesus Christ said.
But so if we go from the 6 major religions, what do they say about karma? It's not. I'm more interested in what the afterlife had to say about karma.
Yes, me too.
And the best thing about it
but
is
it's cause and effect wherever you go. It's cause and effect. That's a universal law.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Religion's got nothing to do with it.
It's not religion, exactly.
Right.
It's
when we talk about Christianity here, we don't talk about religion. We talk about the truth that the guy brought to us, not this tradition, the lore of a Roman Empire. That's not
and there's one more thing I wanted to add. Gloria was talking about the Pope as being a spiritual leader. Well, I'm not sure we've ever seen a case of a pope being a spiritual leader. According to automatic writing, there are 32 realized souls incarnated on the planet at any given time, of which only 1 or 2 will reveal themselves during their incarnation. The rest hide so they can get on with their work without having thousands of people gathering outside their homes, as we have seen tends to happen with the modern realized masters. And this, of course, is a nice and interesting statement. 32 people always, that is realized masters, incarnating with the purpose of education and hopefully controlling the more baser instincts of...
Who is doing the writing?
I don't remember the reference, and it's more than it's a reference I've seen. It's a reference I've seen more than once.
Yes, I think what we're talking about here is that the more conscious you are, the more responsible you are, and the more, the more serious will be the consequences of your acts. If you are ignorant, you said this today, Giles, and I agree. If you're very ignorant, very simple, the consequences of your act cannot be the same as the consequences of a person who is very intelligent, who acquired a lot of knowledge, right? Of course, the latter will be more charged in terms of consequences of their acts, right? And that what comes, for example, Jesus Christ said that, I'm not going to say Jesus Christ, I think the just got a little bit goosebumps. But for example, when we make a mistake with an angel, the price is higher. Why? When you do something wrong to a person is very high spiritually, the price is higher. Jesus Christ used to say this, the spirits used to say this too. And for example, there's a book called Renunciation by Chico Xavier. It's an angel coming to earth, right? I actually wrote a song, channeled a song about this woman. Her name is Alcyone, right? It was an epiphany that I had, and I wasn't a musician. I became a musician out of nothing, and I channeled this song about Alcyone. And I'll send, but it's in Portuguese. You won't understand anything, but I'll send this song to see if you like it. But this angel came to earth, and a higher spirit told her, look, you are going there to rescue a beloved person, but you know that anything wrong that he will do to you, and he will cost him a very high price. And she said something, in my opinion, but it's exactly what I want him to do, because then he comes faster, he grows faster, right? That's it. Yeah, something that, and Jesus Christ said, look, to his apostle, look, if you go into somebody's house and you're badly treated, oh, pray for that people, because you are, So I think this is it, right? Our karma goes on, and that's the people. Any other comments? Let's see who hasn't commented anything. Annie, do you have any comments to say to that?
Hello.
Oh, Rachel. Who's Rachel?
Oh, hi. Sorry, my camera don't work.
Please mute yourself.
Okay.
Oh, no, but she was going to introduce herself. Do you know this Rachel, people?
No, but she's got a lot of noise in the background.
I see. Okay, Rachel, nice to kind of meet you.
Nice to meet you.
That's it. Where are you speaking from?
Texas.
From Texas. Are you wearing a hat? Okay, just
I'm
kidding.
sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome to our, I don't know, we're just leaving now. Thank you. We're just leaving now. It's at the top of the hour again. It's 15 after 7 here in Brazil, 15 after some hour everywhere else here in this group, people. Sorry, people, for my mistakes here in this meeting. I started recording late, and I hope you enjoyed it somehow, right? See you next week. Take care.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.